Hello, this is Jane Goodall. I wish I could be with you in person because the Conservation Coaches Network does such a great job. But as I'm on the other side of the planet, I can only share a message with you electronically from this screen. Just know I'm with you in spirit. First of all, I want to welcome you all to this meeting. And I want to thank CCNet for all the help they've given to the Jane Goodall Institute, because this has enabled us to better protect chimpanzees and their forest habitat. It's almost 60 years ago that I first went to Gombe to study wild chimpanzees, and my goodness, how things have changed since then. Back then, Gombe was part of the equatorial forest belt that stretched from western East Africa through Central Africa to the west coast. But when I flew over Gombe in early 1990, I was absolutely shocked to see a 35 square kilometer island of forest completely surrounded by bare hills. It was obvious there were more people living there than the land could support, and that the people were struggling to survive. And it hit me. There was no way we could save the chimpanzees, or even try to save them, unless we could also improve the livelihoods of the people living around the park. And so that's when JGI started Take Care, or Tukari, a holistic program to improve the lives of the villagers. It was a team of local Tanzanians who went into the villages and asked the people how they would like JGI to help them. And gradually, the people came to trust us, even as their lives improved. And we began to really believe that these people would eventually become our partners in conservation. It soon became apparent that land use planning was essential if people were to manage the forested habitats of apes and other wildlife and their own development. And in 2005, thanks to Tukari and to Conservation Action Planning process, JGI was able to create, together with the villagers, a buffer zone between Gombe National Park and the 12 villages surrounding it. This buffer zone was made possible only because the villagers agreed to conserve their village forest reserves, the reserves that connected with the forests of Gombe. Just 12 years after the initiation of Tukari, satellite imagery showed that significant natural regeneration had taken place in many of these village forest reserves. And we've come a long way since then, as we continue to extend our conservation efforts into other communities in chimpanzee habitat. A total number of 130 communities are involved today. Our conservation planning couldn't have been created without the use of up-to-date mapping technologies. And now, using lessons learned from Gombe and from other African forest habitats, we're using mapping technologies to increase the speed and growth of conservation projects around the world. How wonderful that throughout this process, JGI has been working with and benefiting from the Conservation Coaches Network. Today, we live in a world that's changing rapidly as human populations grow. There are more and more people needing more and more homes and more mouths to be fed. And this means, of course, that more and more resources on land are needed. This makes our job as conservationists increasingly difficult, but there's no way we can protect forested areas for chimpanzees and other species unless we also help the struggling communities of human beings in these areas. This is where the Tukari approach has been invaluable. Finally, all our work will be in vain unless we also work to educate the youth around the world about the need to conserve the natural habitat, wilderness areas with their rich and interconnected forms of life, biodiversity. It was for this reason that in 1991 I created our Roots and Shoots program. This global movement now involves some 150,000 groups of young people from kindergarten through university in 100 countries. Each group chooses for itself projects to improve things for people, animals, and the environment. The program grows as we develop new partnerships, all working together to make this a better world for everything. These young people will surely be better stewards of planet Earth than my generation has been. I'm so very pleased to have this opportunity to thank Conservation Coaches Network for our long-term partnership, because it's enabled the Jane Goodall Institute staff, together with local communities, to contribute to a better future for chimpanzees and their forest home, as well as for the human communities there.